We are back for UFC Newark, headlined by Colby Covington and Robbie Lawler. Probably the only big fight on the card, to be honest. But I'm fucking excited for it. Everybody's been waiting for Colby Covington to come back ever since he won the interim title over Rafael Dos Anjos last year. And now he finally gets his shot at possibly getting another title shot. Who the fuck knows? But before we dig into this juicy-ass fucking card, quote-unquote juicy, or as Tony would say, salty, we're going to go over the casuals with my man, Big Rob. What's good, bro?
Hey, what's going on, bro?
You know how much Tony likes to call things salty, right?
Especially with that diet of his.
I know. The most heated, like Joe Rogan, Brendan Schaub moved the fuck over. The keto captain is fucking Tony.
Big time, bro.
Keto king,
Hashtag
whatever you want to call
keto
it.
captain.
He's on some next shit. Next episode of Combatistors, I'm going to go into a little bit of his thing that he's doing on the side, his side hustle, I should say. But I want to have him here to be able to tell you guys accurately what it's all about. But we're here with my man Big Rob. We're going to go over the casuals. I had a little bit of an issue trying to find something to show my man Big Rob. So this roadmap that I'm about to plot out for you guys are probably going to think like, what the fuck? But I'm a fucking MMA handicapper. I see these things, it reminds me of other things, and then I just connect the dots, and here we are with Dan Henderson versus Michael Bisping from UFC 100. Nice. So I was watching tape on Hannah Goldy last night, and one thing that she does a lot is throw her inside left kick, overhand right combinations. That's kind of what she's known for. And this guy, Dan Henderson, is kind of like when people think of that specific combination of strikes, they think of this guy, just because his leg kick isn't that much, but his right hand is just fucking, they call it the H-bomb. It's fucking nuts. So it
specializes.
It really came into play in this fight against Michael Bisping, and I'll show you exactly why.
Okay.
So we're starting off at the 350-minute mark into the second round of Dan Henderson versus Michael Bisping.
Okay.
So Dan Henderson is the guy, and is that guy right there?
Okay. Okay.
This was like 10 years ago. UFC 100. Holy fuck, 10 years ago at least.
Looks like yesterday.
Oh shit, I should probably, whatever. Let's do this. Bam.
Okay.
There you go.
Oh, full screen. Thank you, sir.
You gotta full screen that shit.
Did that make contact?
No.
Okay.
Oh. You see that? Like how he kicks the inside of the leg and throws a punch?
He's trying to catch him off guard almost, it seems.
Yeah. We're getting really close. Come on. I hope I'm not screwing up the fucking timing of this fucking knockout. Don't worry, it's coming up.
I feel it.
He does it a lot, though, eh? Like so
he's not making contact, or
like he always kind of throws out the leg kick to kind of put the guy off balance.
Yeah.
And then he'll go back into it and throw his like power punch, which is his right hand that he always has like cocked. If you see it by his chin, it's just like ready to fucking go.
It is. It's like the left arm is like doing the trickery, like kind of bring him in, and the right arm is ready to strike at any time.
He's managing his distance with his left hand, and he kind of pauses jab every now and then. But his main thing is kick out the guy's leg, his front leg, and then come with a very heavy punch afterwards over an overhand right.
Now, is this his strategy all the time? Because it seems like this is something he just does.
Yeah. The funny thing is, he's like a wrestler.
Okay,
he is a wrestler.
This is what works for him.
Yeah, but this is his style. He's always moving forward. He's always trying to land that big bomb.
Oh.
Yeah. It's coming up.
I like this. What's going on?
So he uses his jab every now and then. There's another jab right there.
Yeah.
It's all to set up the power punch. That's all he really wants to do. He's been famous for just knocking motherfuckers out. Again, there it is. Left hook. Boom.
Oh,
boom.
my God.
Twice. The guy was out. Yeah. So you know how Michael Jordan has his logo?
Yeah.
He has his own logo of him like flying down, elbowing that guy.
Oh, wow.
I'll show you. Hold on.
I gotta see this.
They gotta show that replay. But he's out still.
Oh,
yeah. That was
hit him
as
twice
clean
hard
as it gets. As clean as it fucking gets.
He was waiting for the perfect strike.
They were like they did a reality show where they did like Team USA against Team UK. He was the captain of Team USA, and then they're just talking bear shit the entire season. Look at that. USA, bitch. America. Man. Fuck yeah.
Oh, wow.
Look, he's still out. The other guy is still out. Extreme. You see the little store?
Oh yeah.
Extremeyogurt.com. All right, here's this replay.
Oh!
Right on the chin.
Oh, he's down. And then
oh, that one too.
Where did that go? Right in the chin again.
Yeah. Boom. Oh. And then follows him down with a boom.
Oh.
I'll show you the logo after, but it's hilarious. You see?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. He didn't even really actually, wow, I didn't even notice that. He didn't really even hit the leg.
No.
He threw it out there to get him thinking about it, and then just came over with that right hand.
Yeah. It's almost like he changed the timing to catch him off guard, because he does the same thing, the same thing, and then he changes the timing.
And he just comes over with this hammer. Yeah. The hammer of Thor. Now he's up. One of the craziest knockouts ever. And that was at UFC 100, which was like their biggest event up until that moment.
Oof. That guy looks so confused.
I know, poor guy. Oof. He was talking the most shit going into that fight.
What was he like after that?
He did it humbly-ish. You know what I mean? He he deserved it.
Okay, good.
Dan Henderson logo. Watch this. So this is his fucking logo now.
Oh my god, that's great. It's like a silhouette of
like
him.
This with a fucking American flag behind it. Look, Air Hendo.
And was it say believe behind it?
Yeah, it says believe.
Yeah. Yo, it did happen. I do believe it.
Look at that.
That's amazing.
It's so fucking good.
So this is his move.
Yeah, that's kind of what he's known for. Anytime somebody brings up his name now, this is what he's known for. Like this image. Like not even the punch landing, but like him in the air going down to fuck this guy up even worse. And he can clearly see he's out. Like look at him already. Like he's not anticipating what's coming at him right now.
No. Those arms aren't moving.
God damn, dude. Yeah, that was insane. That was one of the craziest knockouts up until that point. That was fucking fun.
And he got a second shot in.
I know.
Usually the ref
fucked up. The ref fucked up. He wasn't close enough.
I'm
Yeah.
so impressed he got up after, because
some
people probably wouldn't have after getting hit that hard twice.
See, remember what we talked about last week?
Yeah.
The consecutive concussive punches that boxers get.
That's right.
And then one like big shot like that. Like that looks like it could kill a man.
It's true.
But the guy got up. Like obviously he has CTE and his brain is not the same before that punch.
Maybe swallowing or something. Who knows?
But he didn't die. Yeah, like he's doing like broadcast work now. Like he's like, he's doing good. He's all right. He shows a little bit of CTE, but which fighter doesn't? Right?
It's part of the trade, I guess.
Yeah. Would you let me set out a scenario for you. Would you rather work a 9 to 5, or if you were physically gifted to do a sport like MMA or boxing and could be really good at it,
right?
Would you give up your brain cells for the potential paychecks that you could get for yourself? Say you go fucking 40-0. Say your life earnings go up to like $10 million. You make $10 million from the age of 20 to 40, 38. Because you only fight for, when you're starting off up until maybe 37, 38 is like your prime.
Okay.
Would you do that? Would you trade that off? Would you trade off like $100,000 a year, comfortable salary, working whatever the fuck you're doing?
Okay.
9 to 5 though, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5.
Sure, 9 to 5.
Or you train your ass off every fucking day. Some guys train maybe 2 or 3 times a day, on top of losing brain cells. But you still have that freedom in a sense of you're making way more money. You can go on whatever vacations you want to fucking go on. So would you trade off the CTE for, living a comfortable, normal-ish life?
Oh, it's tough because you're rolling the dice, because you never know any time in life when your time is going to be.
Yeah.
Like you could play it safe, you could
and then
do
get
everything
hit by a car.
Right. Yeah, and get hit by a car, that bus or whatever that they say that's going to happen to you. You know, and but at the same time, you got to look at the mathematical odds of the facts of if you go into this profession and you're getting hit every day or whatever, and it's tough because you could really move ahead really quickly in life, right? I don't know, that's a really tough one, man. And I don't know, for me, I'm not sure. I guess it would depend where I am in my life, but it's a tough one. That can go either way.
Yeah,
it really could, man.
It's tough, like, because you would be living a somewhat comfortable life, making $100,000 a year, working your 9 to 5.
Yeah, you're not like
Yeah,
you're not
you
looking
get
for
your-
food. You're
you
not.
get- you get your like 4 to 5 weeks of vacation
Yeah.
a year.
Yeah.
That you can be like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna go away for a week for this place. Compared to like boxers, you
You-
train for 4 months, go fight, and then you can take 2 months off and go wherever the fuck you want, do whatever the fuck you want.
It depends, because some people's personalities are more like, what's the word? Play it safe, but other people are almost like thrill seekers.
Yeah.
And I think there's a happy medium.
It depends on
somewhere in between.
your
Yeah.
trait in a sense, or your,
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
And
I don't think I would take the CTE. I don't know if I would take that damage.
I don't know, man.
That's just I don't know.
It's a tough profession,
Yeah.
and there's some luck in it.
Yeah.
So it depends on how lucky you feel.
Touche.
Yeah.
Tell that to Floyd Mayweather. This guy's 51-0, and the
51.
51-0, and the highest paid boxer of all time. He's like he's close to a billionaire.
This guy's still playing?
No, he retired. He retired.
Oh my God.
He
Okay,
retired.
okay.
Then came back to fight Conor in a boxing match, which was the stupidest thing ever. But people just like the persona of Conor. And they're like,
just
okay,
the
let's do that
names,
fight.
yeah,
They just started
famous
talking
people,
shit.
yeah.
And then he beat him, and now he's just chilling. He's just flying around the world in his jets.
This guy beat O'Connor?
Yeah, Conor. Yeah,
Oh,
he
sorry,
knocked him out.
Connor.
Yeah.
And he's a boxer who beat him.
He's a boxer who, like,
How
again,
old was he when he beat him?
he's like 40 something.
Holy shit.
This was last year or maybe 2
Wow.
years ago. He makes a lot. See, the thing is, a lot of people hate him.
Oh.
A lot of people hate him, so they want to watch him to see if he loses,
Ooh.
right?
Okay, yeah.
So
Yeah.
he's 40. He's 42 right now. So he was born in 77,
Okay.
and he fought Conor in where's the record? I want to say 2017. So 2 years
Oh
ago.
my God.
So he was 40 when he fought Conor, and Conor has
And McGregor is like the big guy.
zero boxing fights.
Yeah.
For Conor, he's only been a mixed martial artist.
Okay.
So this was his first ever fight in boxing,
Oh, okay. That's not fair.
right?
That's not fair, because
Yeah.
that guy. I
People
thought
are
it was.
like-
I thought it was an MMA event when you said that. Oh my God!
No,
So if it was
it was a
boxing
boxing
versus
fight.
boxing, oh,
Yeah.
that's not fair.
Right?
He's a fish out of water.
So people were getting so sold on Conor though, because
my
he's
God.
younger, he's faster,
No,
he punches
no,
really hard.
no,
You're talking
no.
about the best
No
defensive
way.
boxer of all time.
It's
Floyd Mayweather. That's one thing about him. He doesn't get hit.
Yeah.
He does not get hit, and he came into this fight like saying, "Oh, it was just the beef. It was so played out." They
Yeah.
went to like 5 major cities all over the world or some shit to do like a press tour.
Okay.
Where each night they would go out and just talk shit to each other in front of a giant crowd. That's it.
Dude, that's impossible.
Dude,
Like,
hold on.
it's like one guy playing soccer and another guy playing hockey,
Yeah.
and he's gonna be like, "Oh, I'm younger than you. I play hockey. I'm gonna kick your ass at soccer." That's not possible. Like this guy's he's a professional. Like,
Yo, dude, you gotta like,
how-
dude, like, just to show you how much of a circus it was.
Okay, okay.
Look at this. This was them in
It's just-
Toronto.
If you live in the
Whoop.
Brampton
Nope, shut up.
It's all ads.
This was them in Toronto. They did it at the Molson Amphitheater and fucking sold out.
Okay. Let's see this.
So when we were putting this deal together,
Like, he's like, scream, "Fuck the Mayweathers!" And like, this is, they did this in Toronto, New York,
Wow.
Los Angeles, and he made close to $100 million off this fight. Conor.
Oh wow.
entire arena to scream, "Fuck the Mayweathers!" 1, 2, 3, fuck the Mayweathers!
Oh, that's hilarious. So there's a lot of like hype.
Yeah, it was all hype, dude.
Yeah.
There's just one last one I want to show you, and then we'll fucking move the fuck on. Conor Floyd
cool.
in Brooklyn. The next one that they did, or the day before, like, it just looked weird. Like, it looked like something out of a movie. Like, he came out in like a fucking
Oh
mink
my God,
coat.
that looks like
It's a
Fight
mink
Club
coat.
Brad Pitt over there. Doesn't that like that
Yeah,
jacket
yeah,
too?
yeah.
I think. Hollywood over here.
Like, they put like,
Oh come on, nose to nose,
like, look at him.
Li-
Like,
like,
look, he
what
looks
is
like
that?
a character out of a fucking movie, dude.
dude. Come on, was that a snake? What is
Yeah,
that?
he said he went to the
Snake
Versace
jacket?
store or some shit and just bought it.
Come on.
Like, they were obviously in on this shit together. They know how much money they could have made off this. And
100%.
What a fucking city!
They're milking it, man.
I know. There's one. Look, he's fucking. Look at this. he got his fucking entourage to bring out bundles of money, and he's just throwing it in the air.
Oh, he's making it rain.
Yeah, he's like, dance for me. Look at this.
Oh, come on.
This is his nickname is Floyd Money Mayweather, and this is what he does. He just flaunts his fucking money. That's it.
Makes it rain wherever he.
Doesn't it seem like something out of a movie?
Yeah, especially like this guy looks like he's sitting on a throne and there's like money falling over him.
I know. It's so fucking.
Imagine you're in the crowd and you're just collecting them.
I know. Apparently, Connor picked up one of them. He goes, "They're ones. They're ones."
Oh.
Oh man. Yeah, it's so dumb.
Oh
like,
my god.
They made a fuck ton of money.
It's a soap opera, bro.
So like the UFC made, I think, like 50 million or something off of it because Connor's under contract with them. So he goes, "I'll let you take this fight with Floyd if you chop off something for us, right?"
Okay.
So Connor took home about 100 million. I think UFC took 50 million ish, and then Floyd took home like 300 million because he was like the main.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Pay-per-view buys,
300 million.
fucking tickets to that fight were like hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Oh my god.
Fucking insane, dude. And it was it was like a whatever fight. And they made the fucking public made the odds so close, way closer than they should have been because people kept putting money on Connor. So the odds kept closing.
Yeah. So what was he even supposed to be an underdog or
he should have been like a again, I know you're not too familiar with the odds and like so
I don't
he
know.
should have been like a plus $1,500 to plus $2,000 or plus 2,000 favorite, which means if you put 10 downs, you get 20 times your money back. If Connor won, that's what he should have been.
Yeah,
but he was like a plus, I think 400 favorite. So if you put $10 down, you win 40, right? Times 4. So that was because he started off as a huge underdog, but then people kept buying into the hype of Connor's younger, Connor's faster, Connor's more powerful, and then the odds came so small. Yeah,
such a technical
so all
sport.
the sharks, everybody who knew the sport, fucking put all their money down on. It was minus 300 for Floyd.
Well, they played everyone.
You fucking played
totally.
Them. It was fucking nuts, dude.
Oh my god!
So
it was basically like the people who knew what was really going on versus like
money.
The people who
just
like buying hype.
That's it.
And names.
That's all it was.
Wow.
That's fucking insane, dude. Fuck. God damn. I'm glad I can show you these things and like how weird the MMA world is sometimes, or even combat
dude. I
sports in
appreciate
general.
this, man. This is like
now you have something to tell your boys about.
Yeah, man.
Fuck? That's
so
insane.
wild, bro.
All right, thanks as always. Let's fucking get into the episode.
Thanks,
because
man.
I'm sure that's what the fuck you guys want to do. But it's fun to reminisce about Conor and Floyd. That was such a weird time in the fucking combat sports world. Like the boxing world and the MMA world were all together, and yeah, it was fucking nuts. All right, let's fucking get into this shit. UFC 240 was this past weekend, actually. Big shout out to everybody that checked out the Lock-Cast last week. You know, one of the higher viewed shows we've had in a while. I know the pay-per-views are normally like the big ones, but obviously, you know, I appreciate you guys looking out. And I went 10 for 11 on my fucking predictions. It was great. And even on my bets, I had only lost two bets, and I'll get into that real quick, but still had a stellar night. So let's start off with the two bets that I did lose. I had a 1.5 unit play on Marc-Andre Barriault. I got him at, plus 145. Unfortunate loss there. You know, I thought he had the tools to beat a guy like Krzysztof Jotko. I think a lot of people were really playing up the fact that Andre Barriault got taken down a couple times by Andrew Sanchez, and especially at the end of that fight too. You know, a lot of people are ragging on third round Andrew Sanchez, but I wasn't expecting, you know, Krzysztof Jotko to have similar wrestling or being able to actually impose the same type of game plan. Regardless, Barriault comes out on the losing end. That's fine. I don't mind that. 1.5 units, not too much off my back. And then lastly, I had I just had this inkling all of fight week that Frankie Edgar was going to come in there and pull off the upset against Max Holloway. You know, I thought he had a different style that Max Holloway's never really seen, but it just didn't seem like, you know, I don't know if it was Frankie past his time. You know, he's 37. He's supposed to fight Max Holloway back when he was like 35 before, you know, Holloway had to pull out, and then Frankie got knocked out by Ortega and then just never looked the same after that. Well, he fought Cub Swanson after that, but, you know, still extended time off from the time that he was originally supposed to face Max Holloway. With that said, Holloway came out here and completely stifled Frankie Edgar. It was a great performance by a champion. Initially, I thought the fight was roughly scored 3-2 for Holloway, obviously. I saw a lot of people, and then obviously the judges themselves giving Max Holloway all 5 rounds. I guess there's an argument for that too, but I'm not screaming robbery or anything here. I thought Frankie Edgar obviously lost, but I thought it was definitely worth a 0.25 unit shot. And I was waiting for him to get to like plus 350. He never ended up getting there. However, I was comfortable betting Justino Cyborg to win inside the distance to parlay that together with Frankie Edgar. And fucking Cyborg fucked up too. She didn't even end up getting the finish over Felicia Spencer, who did. She has showed a great chin. She showed that she was able to withstand whatever Cyborg was throwing at her. She didn't get to implement the game that she wanted to, obviously, because Cyborg was landing with such heat and so often. Unfortunate for Felicia Spencer, but you can say what you want about her stock going up. But she got her ass beat. People are just happy that she made it to a decision. That really doesn't mean too much for me. Yeah, sure, here's a pat on the back. You survived 15 minutes with Cyborg and 8 fucking monster shots. But whatever, it is what it is. Minus 0.25 units on that parlay. Not too mad at that. That was a plus 419 return. Plus 419 on the odds. So I would have been happy if that hit. But not too much dust off my back with a minus 0.25. And then let's get on to the fucking winners. I had a 3 unit parlay at minus 114 on Jeff Neal and Viviane Araujo. Starting off with Jeff Neal. He got sucked into that fucking firefight, man. I don't know what it is about Nico Price, but he's able to really suck these guys in and get them to fight his type of fight. Fortunately for Jeff Neal, he's just a better fighter all around. It was great to see him pick up a win there. Such an entertaining fight too. So I guess this is just a great experience for him too. I heard a lot of people saying, in terms of Jeff Neal's lack of competition, that it's hard to use that as a demoralizing factor or to try to detract from a certain guy's value or his skill set, because they just haven't been given those opportunities yet. So sure, you can factor it in a little bit, especially if this guy's fighting cans like Jordan Wright or whatever the fuck that Contender Series guy's name was. You can pad your record all you want, and then once you start fighting stiff competition, then your true colors show. But you really gotta watch the fighter and see, if he does show certain technical abilities and skills. And again, his competition may not be up to par of a Nico Price, who's beaten guys like Tim Means and has fights with guys. I think Vicente Luque even fought him too. I don't know. I'm kind of blanking on it right now. But people are saying Nico Price had the better resume. Sure, I agree, but Jeff Neal's going to get there. He's still only 3 or 4 fights into the UFC. He has plenty of time to go, and I think he's a great prospect for that division, and I think he's going to make some noise in the very near future. Moving on to Viviane Araujo, we had a little bit of a scare in that second round, but she kind of Andrew Sanchez it and really went for broke in that third round to ensure the victory. I love her consistency in that third round. She knew she had to get out to a quick lead in that third round to secure the victory, and thankfully she did. And we cashed on a minus 114 parlay again at 3 units, profited 2.63 units, so that was a great win there. And then what else do we have? Our 2 dog plays of the night. I had 1 dog play or dog of the night play on Marc-Andre Barriou, which lost, but my other 2 hit, so it was great. 1 unit on Eric Ko at plus 100. I thought, I just don't think that Costur is the best fighter out there, and I thought that Eric Ko showed great. He's shown potential in the past, and he has been off for a little bit too. I like guys going up in weight. I think they get to show a different side of them in a sense, and he showed that he can kind of maintain the grappling and strength of some of these guys that are assumed to be bigger than him. But against a guy like Costur, he should be able to get the victory, and to get plus 100 again for Eric Ko is ridiculous, especially against a guy like Kyle Stewart. So I was happy to pick up the 1 unit there off of Eric Ko. And then Davison Figueiredo, plus 108 at 1.5 units, profited 1.62 units. I think people just forgot who the fuck Figueiredo is, man. The guy is a problem. And yeah, Pantoja looked great in that Wilson Hayes fight, but Figueiredo is no Wilson Hayes. Figueiredo is a motherfucker, and I'm happy to have gotten him at plus 108 odds. I wish I went a little bit deeper, but I say that every fucking weekend, especially when I cash on a dog. So those are two great hits. And then I have my lock of the night play with Jillian Robertson and Sarah Frota. Fight does not go to decision. Had 5 units at minus 195, and bang, Jillian Robertson comes through once again. I don't know why I get a little bit of flack every time I bet a women fight. My man AMG and me, we don't really give a fuck about that. A fight is a fight, and if you see value in it, you fucking go for it. And I thought there was plenty of value at minus 195 for this Robertson Florida fight, especially with the style that a Jillian Robertson has. She likes to kind of get the kill or go out on her shield, essentially. She goes for the takedown as quickly as possible. She tries to get the fight to an advantageous position for herself, and she did that against Sarah Frota. She got top mount, and she just fucking started raining elbows and that ground and pound, and she ended up getting the finish there. So great for her. And I will, if the fight doesn't go to decision, is roughly in the minus 250, even minus 225ish range in a Jillian Robertson fight. I kind of got to see who the opponent is, but I will more than likely always bet the fight doesn't go to decision in the Jillian Robertson fight, because she just has that motherfucking ingredient, and I love it. And it helped us cash our lock of the night play, so bang, bitch. So all in all, UFC 240 plus 6.06 units for a 50% ROI. It was a great event for me. I've been up and down recently. I got to get my shit together and fucking continue the ascent. But I think I have some good reads on Covington versus Lawler, which is UFC Newark coming up this weekend. Quick thoughts regarding the card itself. Colby Covington against Robbie Lawler. That's a great fucking fight in terms of matchmaking, but in terms of rankings and what guys kind of deserve, Colby Covington should not have to fight again if he's gonna, if he's the interim champ. It's unfortunate that he got stripped, but let's fucking call it as it is. This guy is clearly the number one contender. I don't know why the fuck Robbie Lawler is getting this fight, but if you just want to take those factors out of it, I think it's a great fight. It should really show us a lot about Colby Covington, and if he's able to hold his own on his feet. And then fights like Clay Guida versus Jim Miller is the co-main event. That's a little hard to digest, but if you're an MMA nerd, you're happy with it. Joaquim Silva against Nasrat Haqparast. There's a lot of potential behind Haqparast, and I think he has a stiff test in Joaquim Silva ahead of him. UFC debut of Hannah Goldy and Miranda Granger. They both have a little bit of hype on the regional scenes, so it's going to be interesting to see how they match up against one another. Darko Stosic against Kennedy Nzechukwu. That should be a fun fight. The return of Mickey Gall. Antonina Shevchenko trying to rebound off of that Roxanne Modafferi loss, which was her first ever pro MMA loss. What else? Scott Holtzman. We got Lil Dong in the house. We got Hannibal Claudio Silva. Decent card. It's okay. It's okay. The fact that we're MMA nuts and the fact that you're even watching this video means that you'll probably watch the fights. I'm okay with it. It's fights. It's fights. That's all that fucking matters. And we get to bet on them too, so there's a chance to make some motherfucking money. Alright, so let's fucking get this show on the road. I know we had a pretty long intro here, but I'm just trying to go with the flow, try to have some fun, see if I can get these episodes a little bit longer too. I know a lot of you hitting the fucking timestamp thing in the comments if you guys are watching, or sorry, in the description if you guys are watching on YouTube, so that's fine. It's all good. It's all gravy. Alright, let's fucking get this show on the road. Let's start off with the first fight of the night, which is Miranda Granger versus Hannah Goldy. Why the fuck is this all the way up here? Whatever, we're gonna go with it. Usually Tapology and UFC.com are pretty on the ball with getting the bout order correct, but I'm not sure if this is on the main card or not. But regardless, Hannah Goldy against Miranda Granger. So Hannah Goldy's coming off a Contender Series victory over Callie Robbins, which is a fight she showed some pretty good technical aspects of her game. One thing that, like I said off the top of the show with the casuals, she has this thing where her main combination is like an inside leg kick with her lead foot and then come over the top with some power punches. I think it's a great tactic, especially if you have the leg dexterity of a Callie Robbins who's able to kind of just throw it out there like a jab. It seems like, it seems from the waist up that Hannah Goldy is kind of stiff. It looks kind of weird, like she throws with a lot of a lot of power. She's very tight when it comes to her punches, it looks like. But then her kicks are just, it seems like she has insane dexterity in her hips, and the way she's able to get her kicks up, front kicks, just high kicks, but her leg kicks especially, she really beat the fuck out of Callie Robbins' legs, and it was very impressive. And I think that really did go into the fact that Callie Robbins wasn't able to push as much in the end. So I'm still not completely sold on Hannah Goldy. She's currently sitting at, what's her odds at? Hannah Goldy, where the fuck are you? Minus 165 to plus 145. So she was a bigger underdog before I started recording this podcast. So I think she was roughly around minus 200 or so. I don't know if I would even bet her at minus 165. Like in terms of Miranda Granger, we're getting a girl that's coming on a pretty short notice. Well, I guess not. She had just about 2 months to prepare for this fight against Hannah Goldy. She shows some interesting aspects of her game too. A lot of her fights don't go to a decision. She's won her last 3 fights in the first round, guillotine choke, armbar, guillotine choke. But some of her competition looks kind of like, besides Amy Montenegro, Jamie Collina's kind of been the jobber in a sense, like doing the job for Macy Barber, and now she's done the job for Miranda Granger on the regional scene, and then this Luisa Azevedo chick, that girl did not even look like she wanted to be in there. Like, she looked like they just put a gun to her head in the back of the fucking in the back and said, go out there, we'll give you $50 to do this shit. And she's like, all right, I guess I gotta feed my family or some shit. But Miranda Granger comes out there and fucking subs her in 41 seconds with this ridiculous guillotine choke. She is lanky for the division, so she's going to have a bit of a reach advantage here. She's 5'9", going up against Hannah Goldy that's 5'4". She has a 68-inch reach, but I think that Hannah Goldy's is much smaller. She almost has like the Sean Shirk-ish effect because she's just so fucking jacked. I want to see if Miranda Granger is able to put on the pressure against Hannah Goldy here, because I want to see Hannah's cardio tested a little bit more. She's gone to a decision numerous amounts of times, but I think that if the pace was pushed a little bit more, she might get pushed. I do have to look at her Jillian Robertson fight again, as the only 2 fights that are really available for me is Callie Robbins and Jillian Robertson. But in the Callie Robbins fight, it just didn't seem like the highest paced fight, but she did show consistency in throwing her strikes. So Hannah Goldy is, she's kind of reliable in that aspect, and she throws with a lot of heat. So girls like Miranda Granger are going to have to respect her, but it's going to be all about Hannah Goldy, closing that distance, getting on the inside and landing those big shots. And I think that her leg kick that she likes to throw is going to be a very, very much of a deciding factor in this fight. If she's able to land it with consistency, it might be able to slow down Granger a little bit, which allows her to, close the distance a little bit easier and land the harder shots. But I'm not sold on either girl yet. I'm not totally sold on Miranda Granger's past opponents. I'll give Hannah Goldy, that thing with Callie Robbins, like she's a decent opponent. I wouldn't mind that. Even when Hannah Goldy fought Jillian Robertson, that was Jillian Robertson's debut as well. So I feel like Robertson's made a lot of strides, and I'm sure Hannah Goldy as well. So she's giving up 7 inches of reach as well against Miranda Granger. I personally bet this fight to not go to a decision. Both girls have a knack for finishing fights. Hannah Goldy's gone to a decision, I guess, okay, four times, but with the power she throws and the type of game that Miranda Granger presents, I'd be very interested to see what the jiu-jitsu is going to look like too with Hannah Goldy and Miranda Granger. Put a gun to my head, I'm going to go with Hannah Goldy. I think she, with her experience, her having more experience in the cage, she'll be able to, stick to her basics of just landing the leg kick and then kind of swarming with shots. And then I think she's going to be the stronger girl too. So I don't think that she'll get sucked too much into these, guillotine chokes. And some of these chokes that Miranda Granger's landing, it just kind of almost looks novice that her opponents aren't able to defend them. She kind of just creeps her arms in. She is lanky, so I understand that, but it seems like some fighters should be able to defend that a little bit easier. So I think that Hannah Goldy might be able to do that. I'm going to take Hannah Goldy by decision. Sorry, not by decision. I'm going to take her by second round TKO. I think that she cracks Granger and then follows up with some ground and pound and finishes the fight that way. But I love the fight. Doesn't go to decision at plus 145. I think there's a lot of great value there. And in terms of this fight, the girl that has the that ingredient of finishing fights almost all the time, or potentially getting finished herself, is Miranda Granger. She has kind of that Jillian Robertson effect. So I think her knack for finding finishes or going for finishes kind of opens up a potential finish for Hannah Goldy as well, to capitalize on anything that Miranda Granger extends herself too much on. So I'm going to go with Hannah Goldy by second round TKO. I'm not sold on either girl yet, but I am convinced that both girls can get a finish. And if Miranda Granger's lankiness continues to do well for her, she might be able to find Hannah Goldy's chin or her neck, I should say. But yeah, I gotta go with Hannah Goldy though. Will not bet this fight either way, but just the fight doesn't go to decision, I think it's worth a small poke, especially at plus money. All right, let's move the fuck along. Let's get to Claudio Silva against Cole Williams. So Claudio Silva was actually supposed to fight Ramazan Ameev. Ramazan Ameev had visa issues, so he couldn't get to the States. But this was definitely a fight where I was looking to bet Ramazan Ameev heavy. I'm not sure what the odds were at the time of him pulling out, but I probably would have bet him up to like minus 250. I think that he would have been too much for Claudio Silva on the feet, and I think that he would have stayed off the ground enough to eventually even finish Claudio Silva. So it was unfortunate that Ameev had to pull out, and I'm high on that guy too. I think he has a lot of potential. I think he's undefeated in the UFC too, if I'm not mistaken. 18-3. Yeah, he's been on a roll since 2015, racking up 7 straight wins. So it's shitty that he had to get pulled out of the fight. But Claudio Silva's coming in against this 11-1 Cole Williams, making his UFC debut, coming off a not that impressive performance against a guy named Charlie Brown. And that fight was actually in September of last year, so it's almost been a full year since this guy's been off. I'm not sold on Cole Williams. Claudio Silva, gas tank issues. That's the only thing kind of keeping me away from parlaying him potentially. Minus 420, which is roughly where I think he's at right now. Let me see that. Claudio, so yeah, minus 410-ish. That's just too steep of a price for me for somebody that has, potential cardio issues. He should be able to get this fight like right to the ground and submit Cole Williams without any issue. I'm not too worried about this fight. Throw him on a Hail Mary parlay if you want, but I think this is going to be a pretty easy open-ended fight. Not open-ended, sorry. Just fucking, it's straightforward. Claudio Silva is going to get this guy down. I don't see too much. I'm not too impressed with Cole Williams' takedown defense, I should say. And he doesn't have too much to offer on the feet. He's kind of sloppy. He overextends himself. And I think that Claudio Silva will be able to, clench his hands behind Cole Williams' back, drag him down, and then eventually get the submission. I'm going to call first round submission for Claudio motherfucking Silva. Next up, we got Lauren Murphy versus Mara Romero Borella. I keep fucking her name up just because it feels like there's so many fucking R's. Mara Romero Borella. Maybe you guys like the fucking Italian twang that I'm trying to put on it, which is probably not sounding Italian at all. Cheers, Big Marley. Cheers. All right. I don't want to dig too deep into this fight. Honestly, I didn't do the due diligence of the research on this fight because I'm just not interested in it whatsoever. I don't feel like I can trust a girl like Lauren Murphy, and I don't feel like I can trust a girl like Mara Romero Borella, who did have an impressive victory in her last fight. I'll give her that against Taylor Santos, who was like a very highly touted prospect coming into that fight. But with the odds currently sitting at minus 165, plus 145 in favor of Mara Romero Borella, I'm just gonna fucking stay away from this fight. I'll take Romero Borella, thinking that she's just getting better off that Taylor Santos fight, and Lauren Murphy is probably just regressing. Fuck me. Regressing. All right. Next up, we got, what is this? Matt Schnell against Jordan Espinoza. I love me some Matt Schnell. I'll say that. He's put together 3 straight victories. One of them against Naoki Inoue, who is seen as like a potential motherfucker in that division. And then Matt Schnell just comes in there and completely fucks that hype up and gets the victory. It was a split decision, but I think he still decisively won that round or won that fight. And then he comes in against Luis Smoker and completely dusts that motherfucker. His hands look great. Very quick. I love his boxing style. I think that he may have the technical advantage here against Jordan Espinoza. But will he be able to catch Jordan Espinoza, who likes to move a lot? I'm going to say yes. I think that Machinel probably has a better does have the better ground game. I think he should get the victory here by landing good counters against Jordan Espinosa. He's kind of once you can kind of get his rhythm, you should be able to counter properly. And I trust a guy with the handiwork of a Matt Schnell to be able to catch a guy like Jordan Espinosa on the entries that he has for some of his blitzes or blitzing style strikes. The first round may be like a toss-up, but I think after that, Matt Schnell should be able to take over. I'm very sold on him. I may bet him. What are the odds? God damn. I keep losing the fucking odds page. Minus 115 Matt Schnell, minus 105 Jordan Espinosa. I can get Matt Schnell at plus 100 at Sports Interaction, but I don't do that. Minus 107. Yeah, no, I'm probably gonna set an alert. If I can get him at plus 100 on one of my websites, I'll probably take him. But I like him here for sure. How much I would wager on him? Probably not the most money. I would probably go small on him here at dog money. But I do like him here. I have underestimated Jordan Espinosa in the past, so there is that. I did underestimate him against Nick Urso, and then obviously against Eric Shelton. I thought Shelton was going to take that fight, but Jordan Espinosa showed great. His in and out entries were great, but I think a guy with the striking expertise of a match now, and then mixed out with the ground game that he has, I think he has the chops to counter a game that Jordan Espinosa brings to this. So I'm going to take match now I'll take him by decision. You know what? I'm going to take him by third round submission. We're going with third round submission. All right, what do we got next? Antonina Shevchenko versus Lucie Pudilova. So starting off with Antonina Shevchenko, everybody knows she is the sister of Valentina Shevchenko, even though they look nothing the fuck alike. Nothing. And she's coming off that loss to Roxanne Modafferi, split decision, which makes absolutely no sense because she clearly lost that fight. And we saw that she still has work to do as a complete MMA fighter. She's kind of been lucky in her last fights that she was able to keep this fight on the standing. But we've seen with Roxanne Modafferi's last fight, when the amount of difficulty she had taking down a girl like Jennifer Maia. Obviously, Jennifer Maia has much more grappling experience than a girl like Antonina Shevchenko, but she's primarily a Muay Thai fighter. So Shevchenko should definitely be dusting up her striking. But she's kind of getting a gift-ish with this fight with Lucie Pudilova. I think that Pudilova is going to have she's going to, be willing to engage in firefights and striking. I don't know how much she will lean on her wrestling. Going into that Liz Carmouche fight, there was a lot of speculation that she'll be able to stuff whatever Liz Carmouche has for her in terms of the grappling, and that just wasn't the case. But how good does her wrestling need to be to get a girl like Antonina Shevchenko down and possibly get an easy victory here? I don't know. What are the odds right now? Plus 125, minus 145 Shevchenko. You know what? I'll probably dig into this one a little bit more, but we just don't know from Lucie Pudilova if she's actually going to go for these takedowns. She's been training them, but she doesn't really pull them out in these fights. Shevchenko, I believe, is the better technical striker. I think that, Pudilova, if she decides to keep this fight on the feet, she's going to get outpointed. Let's be real. She really needs to focus on getting this fight to the ground, and I just can't completely trust her to go out and do that. Apologies, I feel a little gassy. I'm gonna side with Shevchenko here, but I'm not gonna bet her either. Because again, like Lucie Pudilova could completely come out there in a fucking singlet and start just taking Antonina Shevchenko down and just making it worse for her. Or she could just play the game that she normally does and just leave it up to the fucking toss of a coin and then just go to the decision with the striking battle. But this is a coin that I believe is going to be double-sided for Antonina Shevchenko, and she's going to lose a decision regardless if she tries to keep this fight on the feet. So I'm going to go with Shevchenko here. I think, maybe not a bet, but I think that she outstrikes Pudilova here, and then just goes home with a decision victory. I until I see with my eyes Pudilova is able to get these girls down effectively and then keep them there too, I just don't feel comfortable yet. So I'm going to go with Antonina Shevchenko by decision, but I hope my girl Pudilova goes out there and starts wrestling a bitch. All right, next up we got Mickey Gall versus Salim Touhari. Starting off with Mickey Gall, he's coming off a loss to Diego Sanchez, where I know a fuck ton of people lost money on Mickey Gall. I was saying during that fucking, you guys can go back to that podcast, I was saying that Diego Sanchez is a very live dog, and he fucking won that fight, and I'm kicking myself for not actually betting it. I was waiting for it to get to a specific number. It didn't end up going that way. He ended up closing a little bit closer, but still, that was a bad matchup for Mickey Gall against a battle-tested Diego Sanchez. And Mickey Gall is no fucking one-hitter-quitter type of guy. And, you know, if you're not going to have any power in your hands, Diego Sanchez could probably out-muscle you, outwork you, do whatever the fuck he wants to you, especially if you're not as seasoned as him. In this fight against Salim Touhari, I think he has he might be able to get away with the victory here. He is a massive dude. He's standing at 6'2" against Salim Touhari's 5'10", and then he has a 2-inch reach advantage. But I think that even though Salim Touhari is a brown belt, I think that Mickey Gall will be the better jiu-jitsu player here. He just recently got his black belt, but I'm just put belts aside. I just think that this kid's knack for finding submissions and just transitioning pretty flawlessly on the ground. He's definitely going to have a decent time getting the better of Salim Touhari on the ground. I don't trust Salim Touhari to be able to keep this fight on the feet. I think he's a better striker than Mickey Gall in my opinion, but I don't think he's going to be able to keep his butt off the ground. I think that Mickey Gall will be able to close the distance, come in with some strikes. He is obviously the more rangier guy. Get Salim against the cage, and I think he's going to be able to drag him down, and then slowly just work his jiu-jitsu game. So even if he doesn't get the tap, I think that he'll be able to control positions better than Salim will be able to get out of them, and I like Mickey Gall here. But I just can't, get the ball sack to actually fucking bet him here. Let's see what Mickey Gall inside the distance is. Mickey Gall wins inside the distance plus 200. I don't know. I'm not betting Mickey Gall or Touhari here. I'm gonna go with Mickey Gall by decision. I'll give Touhari a little bit. Yeah, actually, you know what? I'm going to go with Mickey Gall third round submission. I think that he just... Yeah, I think he gets this fight to the ground. Probably doesn't get the sub in the first 2 rounds, but eventually finds the neck in the third and gets the tap there. But just not confident enough in Mickey Gall to actually lay down the money on him. So, Mickey Gall by third round submission. Next up, Darko Stosic versus Kennedy Nzechukwu. All right, starting off for Darko Stosic, he's coming off a loss to Devin Clark. That was a fight that it was kind of frustrating if you had money on Darko Stosic. He wasn't throwing the most, but it seemed like he had the power advantage. He's thickly fucking built and has great judo. That's mainly what he's known for, but he throws a lot of heat in his hands too. He did stumble Devin Clark a couple times, but it was his inconsistency of strikes which I believe led him to lose that fight. I think that in this fight against Kennedy Nzechukwu, he may be able to get away with the inconsistency of throwing a little bit because I don't believe that Nzechukwu's striking defense is the greatest. I think that if Darko Stosic is able to, land a couple times, he might be able to drop Nzechukwu and then follow up with some ground and pound. Because, although I believe Nzechukwu has a lot of potential and he could be a pretty damn good fighter, just with his physical stature, maybe, and even with his coach, Saif Sayoud is a motherfucker. I think he's one of the best coaches out there. I think that his reach management is closer to a Stefan Struve than it is to John Jones. In terms of that scale, you have fucking Stefan Struve on one side and John Jones on the other. I'm going to say that Kennedy is a little bit more on the Stefan Struve side of things, just due to the fact that he doesn't have the greatest stand up. He has a lot of power in his legs. He throws a great left head kick, but in terms of establishing his jab, in terms of landings with enough sting to keep guys on the outside, I just don't know if it's going to phase a guy like Darko Stosic. I think that Darko will gladly eat some shots to try to close the distance to land big shots on Kennedy, and I think that's really going to mess with Kennedy here. And if Kennedy tries to go for any type of takedown, I think that Darko Stosic has the judo ability to kind of nullify anything that Kennedy tries to throw at him grappling wise, and probably even get the takedown himself and probably land some big shots from on top there. So I'm not sure if Kennedy would even want to try to initiate any type of grappling here. I like Stosic, but the thing is just his consistency of throwing strikes. If he can, just land enough on Kennedy and Nzechukwu, I truly believe he'll be able to drop Kennedy in this fight. But it's tough. I think Kennedy is still too green. He showed a lot of fight cue, flaws in his fight against Paul Craig, which ended up getting him a loss there. And I think that Darko Stosic is, he's just going to walk through any type of jab. He'll eat some. And if this fight does go 15 minutes, I don't think Darko Stosic will win. I think this fight needs to get a finish for Stosic to win, and I think he will find the finish. So I'm going to go with probably second round KO for Darko Stosic. Probably takes the first round to kind of figure it out, and then start to go a little bit harder in the second round, trying to land those bigger shots. I love my man Kennedy. I think he's a great prospect, but I think that he's a little bit outgunned in this fight here, and it's just going to be a learning experience for him. He's going to come off 2 straight losses here, but I think that he'll come back a little bit stronger, and these will be perfect learning lessons. And I think that Stosic gets the victory here. Again, second round KO. And I did bet on him. I should say that. I put 1.25 units out, minus 124 for Darko Stosic. I think he holds some good value there in the minus 120, minus 130 range. But I wouldn't even put too much on him either. But I do think he does hold value for sure. All right, next up. We got Scott Holtzman against Lil Dong Young Kim, a.k.a. Dong Young Ma. Starting off with Scott Holtzman, this motherfucker let me down so much at the UFC Phoenix event way back in February, where he lost to Nick Lentz. I truly thought that he was going to be the better fighter in there, but Nick Lentz was landing some big fucking shots, and it really played into Scott Holtzman's game. And unfortunately, he came out on the losing end there. I believe I had Holtzman in like a lock of the night play too, so that one really fucking hurt. But he's looking to come back here and bounce back. Oh. That's my alarm. I'll just come clean about it. When you're in a relationship with a woman and she decides to go on the pill, you gotta look out for her too. And sometimes you gotta send her a reminder, be like, hey, I don't want no kid. Yet. So let me just send my girl her reminder. Because, when you're in a relationship, you got to do this thing together, right? Here, I'm sending her a gif of fucking Neo. Or, sorry, what's the guy's name? Lawrence Fishburne's character. I keep forgetting. Neo. It starts with the Morpheus. When Morpheus is doing the red pill, blue pill thing. Anyway, all right, back to the fight with Scott Holtzman. With Scott Holtzman, he should come into this fight and definitely get the victory over Dong Young Kim. I think he is the more athletic fighter. He should be shoring up his striking a little bit. I think he can mix it up a little bit better than Dong Young Ma as well. Especially with Dong Young Kim coming off a very brutal loss to Devontae Smith in his last fight. I just don't think that the play on Scott Holtzman is worth it at minus 380. He shows that he could potentially cough up a loss, especially against a guy like Nick Lentz. That, I think with where Scott Holtzman is and the experience that he's accrued up until this point, he should be beating a guy like Nick Lentz. Let's just be fucking honest. So, Dong Young Ma, not the most skilled guy out there, went to a great fucking war against Damian Brown. Yeah, I know. He sparked Takanori Gomi too. He has power in his hands, but I'm just not completely sold on the guy. So I do like Scott Holtzman here, but I just think he's priced way too high. So I'm not going to touch him. Probably not even like a Hail Mary parlay. I'll probably just pass on him his juice on these parlays. So I'll go with Scott Holtzman by decision, but I just don't think he's worth it at such a high price. All right, next up we got Trevin Giles against Gerald Meerschaert. Starting off with Gerald Meerschaert, he's coming off that loss to Kevin Holland. It was a split decision loss, but I truly think that Kevin Holland won that fight. It was a very back and forth fight, but Kevin Holland always got the better of every exchange at the end of it. So this is pretty much a do or die fight for Gerald Meerschaert, and you got to give some props to him because Trevin Giles isn't the easiest opponent out there. He lost to Zach Cummings in his last fight. But I still think that he has a lot of talent. He almost has a Jordan Espinosa type of style where he explodes a lot and then just kind of gets out of the way enough. He relies a lot on his explosive entries to land his big shots, and I think that he's going to definitely be more athletic here than Gerald Meerschaert. I think that he's going to be able to spark Meerschaert on the feet, to be honest. Meerschaert's a tough motherfucker, and he's always a tough out. But I think that Giles will be able to keep this fight on the feet. In that Zach Cummings fight, he really, he was coming off close to a 2-year layoff. So that was really detrimental for him, too. It was closer to a 1.5-year layoff, but still an extended layoff. And that probably had something to do with his Zach Cummings loss as well. I think now that he's gotten his feet wet back in May, he's going to come in here against a tough vet in Gerald Meerschaert, but I think he comes away with the victory. I think that he's going to be able to get the finish here, too. I'm not too sold on Gerald Meerschaert's striking. He's very... I think he's going to be at a speed disadvantage here. I think that Gerald Meerschaert, probably better on the ground, but I think that Trevin Giles keeps this fight on the feet. I think that once he splits the guard of Gerald Meerschaert and starts busting him up a little bit, he'll be able to pour it on a little bit more, probably get it finished in the second round. Excuse me. But he's had, 4 out of his 5 last fights, he's finished, besides the Kevin this statistical breakdown for me is fucking horrible right now. But let me get through this. Before the Zach Cummings fight, his last 5 fights, 4 of them he finished in the second round, the third round, second round, third round. So 2 fights he's finished in the second round, 2 fights he's finished in the third round, showing that he can. His cardio may have shown a little bit of hindrance in the that it's probably just him dipping his feet back into the water. And I think this matchup against Gerald Meerschaert is the perfect matchup for him to get back onto the winning track. With Meerschaert, it's going to be unfortunate. This is going to be 3 straight losses, but I think he's like that guy that's probably going to be champion of the regional scene, but can't really crack it against some of the guys in the UFC. And unfortunately, I think he's going to get his walking papers here. But I think that Trevin Giles gets the finish here. I'm going to call second round just completely dust Gerald Meerschaert, in my opinion. And I'm possibly looking at him as a lock of the night play. Maybe I might bet him as my lock play, but I want to wait, see where that line goes a little bit further. Plus, I have another one that I'm potentially looking at, which I haven't even gotten to yet. But I'm going to go with Trevin Giles by second round TKO. All right, guys. So, y'all are probably thinking, why the fuck did Tony just magically appear out of nowhere?
Yep.
And I'm here, and we just finished talking about one of these last fights. Unfortunately, we ran into some technical difficulties on the last recording that I did yesterday. So I just wanted to cap off the last 3 fights of the UFC Newark card for you guys to make sure I get like a legit, my legit opinion out for you guys, so you guys can tail or fade whatever the fuck you guys want to do. And at least we got Tony for a different perspective on a couple of these fights. So we're just going to go over the top 3 fights that I had left, which is Joaquim Silva and Nasrat Haqparast. So let's start off with that one real quick. I love me some Nasrat Haqparast. This guy is very explosive. When he fought Mark Diakese, a lot of people had Diakese winning that fight going into it. They thought he was going to be the better striker. He was going to be able to implement his striking. But Nasrat Haqparast, something that motherfucking does is whenever he blitzes, he loves to throw power hooks, and he always throws more than one. That's one thing that I find very impressive about him. So he'll blitz with like a straight left, but then he'll throw another uppercut or a hook behind it too. So everything has power. It's not just one shot's setting up the other ones. He's trying to throw with bad intentions to get you backing up, to get you in a stance where he's able to keep you uncomfortable. So the Mark Diakese fight was a perfect example of that, because he's known as a great striker, but he was not able to set up at all because Haqparast was just keeping his foot on the gas, keeping the pressure on him, and pretty much just wore him out like that. In the T-Belt Gouty fight, that one was a little bit more interesting because Gouty was showing glimpses of what can be a perfect blueprint to beat a guy like Nasrat Haqparast. He was the one stepping forward. He was the one throwing first. He wasn't waiting for Nasrat. When people are waiting for Nasrat, that's when Nasrat's able to actually implement his game more. He's able to put his foot on the gas and then win these fights. He had 2 times where he almost finished T-Belt Gouty in the first round and the third round. Unfortunately, Gouty's fucking chin was ridiculous, and he was able to survive even body shots. He got hurt very bad to the body in that third round, but he wasn't able to put away Gouty. In this fight with Joaquim Silva, this is what I like. These guys match up so much better. Joaquim Silva, I think he's the better striker moving backwards than Mark Diakese, so I think we're going to get a little bit more exchanges on the feet, and Joaquim Silva is actually going to bite down on his mouthpiece and throw back with heat. And he's a great striker himself. His nickname may be Neto BJJ, but he throws with heat. He's a little bit slower, so I think that Nasrat's actually going to have a little bit of a speed advantage here. But with Joaquim Silva, when he throws with conviction, he throws heavy. His last fight with Gerald Gordon, the shitty thing about Gerald Gordon is his striking defense is horrible, but his chin has been holding up for him, as well as his pressure, which is why he's able to break some of these guys. But with Joaquim Silva, he showed it in his last 2 fights against Vince Pichel and Gerald Gordon. In that third round, he comes throwing bombs. I don't know what it is, but it seems like near the ending of the second rounds, he's starting to slow down. And, he's a pretty muscular guy. So, you can take that fucking narrative from Joe Rogan that muscles need fucking blood and oxygen and all that shit. But with Joaquim Silva, he comes out in the third round, comes out heavy, throwing heavy shots, and he throws consistently as well, too. So, against Nasrat Haqparast, he's going to have to be the one that throws first. He's going to have to engage and actually make Nasrat, work off of his back foot, because he's not as good off of his back foot as he is when he's the one attacking and initiating these scenarios. However, I don't trust Joaquim Silva. I think at plus 200 he has some value here. If you're going to bet somebody, I believe you put the value money on Joaquim Silva. However, Nasrat, I think he's ever improving. He's still young. He has a great camp in TriStar as well. So I think that he can definitely win this fight, and he should be the favorite. I agree with that. But I think that the play here is the fight doesn't go to decision. I played it at plus 120. I'm glad that I got dog money on it. That was ridiculous. I said dog money. It's due to the fact that, like me and Tony were talking about in the Combatisseurs, recency bias. People just think about the last couple fights. With Nasrat Haqparast, Mark Diakese, Marcin held, and T-Belt Gouty. All 3 of those fights went to a decision. But before that, he was knocking motherfuckers out in the first round. He's always going there to throw bad intentions, and it really depends on the level of competition that he has going up against him, and if those guys are willing to actually stand there and strike with him too. I think you get the perfect ingredient in Joaquim Silva for that, and I think at dog money, the fight does not go to decision is the perfect play here. So I played 1.75 units at plus 120. Very happy to get that number. I don't know if it's at dog money still. I'm talking on Wednesday at 6:45 p.m. But if you can get dog money on that prop, fucking go for it. I absolutely would give you the entire blessing to bet for that. But if you want to bet on value, if you can get Joaquim Silva better than plus 215, plus 220, I think it's worth a shot. But if you can find Nasrat Haqparast somehow at minus 200, I think that he's a solid play as well too. So in terms of pick, you're putting a gun to my head. I'm going to go with Nasrat. I think that he wins the fight. He continues to improve, and he continues to show us why he has a lot of potential. And I think he wins this fight in the second round with overwhelming TKO, pressuring Joaquim Silva and winning that fight. You got any thoughts and comments on these guys? No?
Not on this fight. I know Haqparast, though. Yeah. I've seen his fights. I remember how he fights. So, yeah. But I can't really tell you anything about the other guy.
Joaquim Silva, he had like a long layoff. Then he came back and he fought Vince Pichel, and then he had a little bit of a layoff again, and then he fought, who the fuck did he fight last? Gerald Gordon. And the Milwaukee card, I think that was back in December.
Yeah, and he beat Gerald Gordon.
He knocked him out in the third round. Yeah. So he throws heat. A lot of people want to give him shit for his gas tank.
I remember Gerald Gordon losing, but I still can't really picture who Joaquim Silva is.
Knockout. He fucked him up, yeah. Cool. So yeah, official pick on my end is going to be Nasrat Haqparast, but I would highly suggest betting the fight doesn't go to decision, especially if you get plus money. All right, let's move on to the next one, a co-main event of the night. Clay Guida against Jim Miller. I know Tony has a little bit more to say on these guys than he did about Joaquim Silva and Nasrat Haqparast, but I'm going to quickly start this off. Clay Guida in his last fight against fucking BJ Penn. he decisively won that fight, but he made that fight a little bit harder than I think it should have been. He had BJ Penn on the ropes in that third round, but continuously seek to engage in the clinch and make it a closer fight than it needed to, and even let BJ Penn recover in times when he had BJ hurt, in my opinion. BJ was slowing down, but he was still able to land on Clay Guida, which is kind of the alarming thing here. In the fight before that, he had Charles Oliveira. You know what the fuck's going to happen in that. When you have a guy as good as Charles Oliveira against a guy like Clay Guida, you're going to get the tap. And I think Jim Miller has maybe not the level of jiu-jitsu that Charles Oliveira currently has right now, just due to age, athleticism, strength, and just that younger abilities that a younger guy will have. With Jim Miller, you're still getting a guy that is a legitimate black belt, and I think that he has enough power in his hands to drop Clay Guida, but I'm not saying that's exactly what's going to happen. I think that Jim Miller will find this way to get this fight to the ground. I think he has the better takedowns than Clay Guida has takedown defense. He can be taken down. The only advantage that Clay Guida has in this fight, in my opinion, is the cardio, but I don't even think that's like a massive thing. Yeah, he's going to be an Energizer Bunny going fucking just bouncing around for 15 minutes and not get tired, and then go around and run a couple laps around the octagon after the decision's fucking been read. But with Jim Miller, he doesn't significantly slow down in the third round. I think he will be able to stay in the fight if it ever gets to the third round and, maybe lose that round. But I think he could still win the first two rounds decisively enough to get the judge's decision. However, I don't even think it's going to a judge's scorecard. I think that Jim Miller gets this fight to the ground. I'm going to say second round once again. I'm going to say he gets Clay Guida down and gets the rear naked choke victory here. I think he has a lot of value at minus 160. He was roughly at minus 175 a couple days ago. But I think that he's probably going to get down to the minus 140 range. A little bit more recency bias as well, too. A hint of it, I should say. Jim Miller's coming off that big win against Jason Gonzalez. But, a lot of people are saying Jim Miller's getting up there in age. He has the Lyme disease thing. Even though he has it under control now, I think that he is in a better spot to get a victory here against another tough and grizzled veteran in Clay Guida. But people aren't really giving Clay Guida that, he's too old talk. He's getting, he fought BJ Penn and Joe Lawson in 2 of his last 3 fights. He's fighting guys that are his ish age group. He's fighting his guys that are kind of in his generation. Whereas Jim Miller, he's dusting off a guy like Jason Gonzalez, who's kind of a younger-ish, up-and-coming guy, 11-4 at the time, and then fought Charles Oliveira before that. Beat Alex White a minute and a half into that fight way back at UFC 228. So he can definitely go out there and still get the tap, and I think this is a perfect opportunity.
Even if you look at his losses real quick, those are high-level guys, man.
Francisco Trinaldo, Daniel Hooker, Charles Oliveira,
Pettis, Poirier.
The guys he's losing to are fucking high-level guys. And Daniel Hooker, obviously the way better striker, so obviously he's going to get finished in that fight. But yeah, he goes out there and beats young up-and-comers and Alex White and Jason Gonzalez, and now he finds himself against another tough and grizzled vet in Clay Guida. But I'm going to say second-round submission for Jim Miller. I will bet him as my lock of the night play. I just want to see where he actually ends up. I think minus 140, so I'm going to wait it out a little bit. But if it gets back up to minus 170, minus 175, I might just have to pull the trigger in case it goes up to minus 200, and I don't want to fucking wait till it gets to that point. So I'm saying Jim Miller. I believe you're on the same boat as me, right?
100%. Skill-wise, he shouldn't lose this fight in any area other than if he somehow gasses. I don't see that happening in a 3-round fight.
All right. Plain and simple, straight to the facts. I like it. All right, main event time. Colby Covington against Robbie Lawler. So with Colby Covington, before I even looked at the odds for this fight, I was really on the Colby Covington train. I thought that he presents the perfect style for a guy like Robbie Lawler. I think that he presents just his game plan in general, just his style of fighting. It's kind of like a Kamaru Usman, but with less striking. Or less technical striking than a Kamaru Usman, but still high pressure, always in your face, trying to get the takedown, grind you against the cage, drag you to the ground, lay on top of you, stay active enough so you don't get stood up. But he is lacking those finishes. I think the last time he got a finish was 2016, if I'm not mistaken. Who did he get the finish over? He ground and pounded Max Griffin in 2016. So it's been 4 fights or 5 fights now that he hasn't gotten a finish. But he's going out there and fucking dominating against these guys. But the more that I looked into it, Robbie Lawler could definitely give him a tough test. It was kind of surprising to me to see Robbie Lawler as such a heavy underdog. but the line is closing a little bit now. He's roughly plus 201, but we've seen a lot of movement going up and down. He hit minus 196, plus 196, plus 186. Now he's roughly sitting at plus 201. I think if you are going to play Robbie Lawler, the play here is inside the distance. You got to play. You got to think that there's no way he's going to take all 5 rounds from Colby Covington, and if he is having success in the fight, he will more than likely be knocking out knocking out Colby Covington. I think he can, if he can find success with the hands and make it tough for Colby Covington in that first round, and he stays consistent enough. Like, he doesn't need to push the gas, but he needs to stay active enough to keep Colby Covington on the outside and make him pay for whenever he closes the distance. But fuck, man, it's hard to go against the guy that has the grappling pedigree of Colby Covington, as well as the cardio that he has, and the pace that he's able to put up for 25 minutes or even 15 minutes.
It's insane.
This is going 25 minutes. It's insane. So personally, it's a stay away fight from me. If I were to do anything, it will be a very small bet on Robbie Lawler to win inside the distance. But outside of that, like minus 235-ish, minus 220-ish for Colby Covington, I'm a little bit skeptical. He hasn't fought since May of last year. That's another, caveat you need to remember going into this fight. So I think Colby Covington wins. I'm going to take him by decision. I think he wins by decision. He grinds out Robbie Lawler for all 5 rounds. But unless I get him under like minus 200, if he's sitting at like minus 180 or something, I would probably feel comfortable putting like maybe 2 or 3 units on it. Maybe not lock of the night type of money, but just 2 units or so just to get that profit there. But anything over minus 200, I just don't feel comfortable. I don't know what it is. There's just something holding me back from going balls deep, as a lot of people are on Colby Covington at the minus 250, minus 230-ish range. Any thoughts on your end in terms of?
Yeah, overall, I agree with what you said. Lawler by finish, if he does win, I don't see how he can win a 5-round decision against a grinder like Colby. But at the same time, he's too big of a favorite, Colby Covington, just based off the layoff. And like from a skill standpoint, Robbie Lawler has all the skills to beat a guy like that. Yeah. Better stand-up, more powerful, can stop the takedown. But he gets pressured very easily and takes time off. And then against a grinder like Colby, I think his only shot. You just can't. You can't at all. If he starts, like, for me, it's like if Lawler doesn't finish him inside the first 2, it's probably going to be a decision for Colby. So, yeah, I would definitely go for the finish, if anything, with Lawler. I do lean Colby, though, grinds him out. Yeah,
if you're going to bet anything on this fight, in my opinion, take Robbie Lawler inside the distance, very small. And it's a decent return. I think it was plus 250 the last time I checked. It opened at plus 300.
That's a good bet.
I was close to betting it at that point, and then I missed the line. Now it's roughly around plus 255, plus 250. But regardless, as an official pick and a prediction for this podcast, I'm going to take Colby Covington by decision, and rightfully getting the title shot against Kamaru Usman, hopefully near the end of this year. That's pretty much it for the Lock-Cast today. Sorry for the technical difficulties, but we fixed it. We made it happen. I even got a surprise guest with Tony coming in. He had no idea he was doing this until he was on the way here. The Lock of the Night Challenge is going great. Thanks to everybody that signed up. We have the first event, which is UFC Newark. So I see a lot of you have already put in your picks. Make sure you guys finish off if you haven't already. And lastly, I just want to do a quick giveaway. Just name at the bottom. Give me a quick comment on who you think is going to win at UFC Newark. Give me the method of victory and who's going to win. So you don't have to give me the round. Just give me method of victory and who's going to win. Whoever gets that correct, I'll put you guys in a quick draw. Winner gets a Lock of the Night mug with one of those famous MMA quotes that I got. You guys will get a decision in terms of which one you guys want. So just make sure, again, just comment. Make sure you get subscribe too. I can make sure I will know that you're motherfucking subscribed, because I'm trying to work on that number. We're like 1 subscriber away from 500, so that's fucking great too. But I want to get to that 1,000 mark. I want to see if we can get there by the end of the year. And this is just an incentive. Y'all want a free mug? Just fucking subscribe and comment below. That's it. All right, it's that easy. Like, subscribe, comment. If you're listening on Spotify, Stitcher, or SoundCloud, make sure you go over onto YouTube and do all that shit for me too. I appreciate all the feedback, all the haters. I see you too. It's all good. We won last week, so fuck you. And we good. Tony, anything on your end?
No.
All right, we just finished up doing Combative Series, so make sure,
exactly.
If you guys haven't watched that yet, make sure you guys go check that out, because we just wrapped that up, and I wanted to make sure we get the Lock-Cast.
Maybe one day I'll watch tape on all these fights. And
maybe we'll have a little bit of a.
We'll do it.
We'll have what is it, a showdown? I don't know. Lowdown.
Yeah.
The Lowdown, right? Wasn't that from Whose Line Is It Anyway? Or whatever. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'm out.